Emma rushed through the crowded terminal, heart pounding. Boarding pass clenched between her fingers. Her connecting flight had been delayed, and now she was barely making it to this one. The gate attendant gave her a quick nod as she scanned her pass and waved her through. She didn't even look up as she hustled down the jet bridge, dodging a flight attendant rolling a cart, her tote bag slipping off her shoulder. Once inside the cabin, the air was cooler, calmer, but she was still flustered. 14A, 14A, she whispered to herself, eyes darting over seat numbers as she shuffled past passengers already buckled in. Finally spotting it near the wing, she slid into the window seat, dropped her bag under the seat ahead, and exhaled deeply. She fumbled for her headphones, determined to disappear into a podcast for the next few hours. As she reached into her coat pocket, someone cleared their throat beside her. She looked up. A man stood in the aisle, mid-40s, sharply dressed in a charcoal gray suit, clean-shaven, striking but unassuming. He held out his boarding pass with a polite smile. "Sorry to bother you, but I think this might be my seat." Emma blinked, flustered. "Oh no, seriously?" She scrambled for her ticket. Her cheeks flushed red as she read it. 14C. "I'm so sorry," she said, starting to stand. But the man raised a hand and gestured for her to stay seated. "It's fine. 14B is open," he said easily. "No harm done." She hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely." He slipped into the aisle seat next to her, pulled out a slim leather notebook, and began writing in swift, quiet strokes. Emma shrunk into her window seat, mortified. Classic her, rushing, anxious, making small mistakes that always felt huge. She peeked sideways. He looked calm, collected, busy, definitely important. She tried not to stare. But the gold-embossed initials on the notebook caught her eye. DC. Who was this guy? The captain's voice crackled over the speaker, announcing their route and weather at arrival. Emma leaned back, eyes fixed on the clouds outside, still too embarrassed to speak. If only she knew what kind of journey this wrong seat would set in motion. An hour into the flight, they hit turbulence. It started as a slight rattle, nothing unusual. But within seconds, the plane gave a sharp dip, and Emma's hand instinctively gripped the armrest between her and the man beside her. Her knuckles turned white. She exhaled quickly, trying to play it off, but her face gave her away. The man glanced over, gently closing his notebook. "Not a fan of flying?" he asked, voice calm and steady. Emma let out a nervous laugh. "I fly often enough. You'd think I'd be used to it by now." He smiled faintly. "It's not the flight, it's the lack of control. People who like to plan everything tend to hate turbulence." She looked at him, surprised by the accuracy. "You're not wrong," she said. "I am that person. I color-code my calendar." He chuckled. "I used to be like that, until I realized most of life doesn't care about your calendar." Something about the way he said it made her curious. "So, what do you do?" she asked. He hesitated for the briefest second. "Business," he said simply. "Mostly startups. I look for potential." Emma nodded, assuming he meant venture capital or something. "Sounds exciting." He shrugged. "It has its moments." "What about you?" She sighed. "I've done a bit of everything, admin jobs, marketing, customer service. None of it sticks. I guess I've always wanted to build something of my own, but..." She trailed off. "But what?" he asked, genuinely interested. "I have this idea. A sustainable skincare line, natural ingredients, plastic-free packaging. I've been working on it for over a year. Nights, weekends. But I don't have the money to launch, or the right connections, or honestly the nerve." She didn't know why she was telling him all this. Maybe it was the altitude, or the suit and notebook man who made her feel heard. He nodded thoughtfully, leaning back in his seat. "What's stopping you? Besides money and fear?" She blinked. "Isn't that enough?" He gave her a half-smile. "Sometimes the only difference between a dream and a company is one conversation." She raised an eyebrow. "That sounds like something you'd read in Forbes." He laughed. "Maybe, or maybe I've said it a few times." The turbulence faded. So did her tension. They talked the rest of the flight. About her ingredients research, his favorite business failures, her grandmother's herbal recipes, his first product pitch at 19 in a coffee shop, to a man who'd later steal his idea. By the time the wheels hit the runway, Emma realized she hadn't thought about turbulence or failure for the last hour. She turned to him as passengers began to stand. "Thanks for the talk, and Sorry again for stealing your seat. He stood and handed her the leather notebook. No worries, he said, tucking a card into the cover and smiling. It might have been the best seat I didn't sit in. Then he was gone. Emma stared at the card. Dylan Carter, CEO, Ether Corp. Her heart skipped a beat. Emma shuffled into the terminal in a daze, still clutching Dylan's business card like it might disappear if she blinked. She wasn't sure it was real. The entire flight felt like a dream wrapped in mild turbulence. But then, as she moved down the long corridor, something made her stop. A massive, backlit billboard towered above the walkway, a man in a sharp suit standing on a rooftop garden, city skyline behind him. The slogan read, Dylan Carter, CEO of Ether Corp, investing in the future one idea at a time. Her breath caught. It was him. That calm, curious man beside her was him. She pulled out her phone and searched. Dylan Carter, Ether Corp. Search results exploded, articles, interviews, TED Talks, environmental ventures, seed funding. Words like visionary and angel investor filled the screen. She read, known for discreetly scouting founders in everyday settings. Believes authentic ideas come from unlikely places. Her head spun. Did he just scout her? Then a buzz in her hand. Unknown number. One message. Emma, I meant what I said. Let's finish that conversation. Coffee next week? DC. Her fingers trembled slightly as she read it again. A businessman had given her a card before. A few made vague promises. Most forgot her name before baggage claim. But this felt different. The towering glass building of Ether Corp gleamed under the morning sun. Emma adjusted her blazer nervously, smoothing the creases with slightly sweaty palms. She had barely slept the night before. Inside, the space was warm and modern. Green walls, wood textures, light flooding from all angles. It didn't feel like a cold corporate fortress. It felt alive. A young assistant greeted her. You're Emma, right? Mr. Carter's waiting. As the elevator doors opened to the top floor, her heart pounded louder with every floor that ticked by. When she stepped out, Dylan was already there, leaning against a sleek conference table holding 2 coffees. You came, he said, simply handing her one. Emma smiled. How could I not? They sat across from each other. He slid a folder toward her. Your idea? I had someone look over the numbers you sent. And the samples. The botanical serum. Impressive. Emma blinked. You tested them? I don't waste time, he said. And neither should you. We want to incubate your brand. You'll have support, resources, and creative control. All we ask is that you think big. Her throat tightened. So, this is real? Dylan leaned in, smiling. Very real. And I have a feeling you're the kind of person who ends up in the right seat, even when it feels like the wrong one. Tears pricked the corners of her eyes. She nodded, trying to stay composed. A handshake sealed it, firm, full of promise. And just like that, Emma stepped out of that meeting, not just as a passenger who had once sat in the wrong seat, but as a founder ready to take off.